service equipment for a single-family residence must be mounted either on the structure itself or within sight of that structure. This requirement is detailed in the National Electrical Code, specifically Section 230.70 AON. Let's break down what this means in practical terms. Firstly, mounting on the structure implies that the service equipment, typically the main service disconnect and panel board, is physically attached to the house or building being supplied with electricity. This is the most common configuration. Secondly, the phrase "within sight" introduces an alternative that allows for some flexibility. Within sight generally means that the service equipment is visible from the building it serves, and is not more than 50 feet away, according to common interpretations and related code sections. This provision recognizes that in certain situations, mounting directly on the structure may not be feasible or desirable due to space constraints, aesthetic considerations, or other factors. For example, consider a house with a detached garage or outbuilding that requires its own electrical service. The service equipment for the outbuilding could be located on that structure, provided it is within sight of the main house. Alternatively, in some rural installations, the service equipment might be located on a pole near the house, rather than directly on the building. It is crucial to remember that the within sight rule is not simply a matter of visual proximity. There must be a clear, unobstructed view between the service equipment and the building it serves. Obstacles such as fences, trees, or other structures that block the line of sight would invalidate this exception. Now, let's consider why these rules exist. The primary reason for requiring service equipment to be mounted on or within sight of the structure is safety. In the event of an electrical emergency, such as a fire or short circuit, it is essential that the service disconnect can be quickly and easily accessed to energize the electrical system. Having the disconnect readily available allows firefighters or other emergency personnel to safely address the situation. Furthermore, the within sight requirement helps to prevent confusion about which structure the service equipment is serving. Imagine a scenario where multiple buildings are located close together, each with its own electrical service. Without the within sight rule, it could be difficult to determine which service disconnect controls the power to a particular building, potentially leading to dangerous situations. When planning an electrical installation for a single-family residence, it is imperative to carefully consider the location of the service equipment and ensure that it complies with the requirements of the National Electrical Code and any local amendments. Failure to do so could result in code violations, safety hazards, and potential liability. It is always advisable to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to ensure that your installation meets all applicable requirements. Here are some additional points to consider. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of standards governing the safe installation of electrical wiring and equipment. It is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and best practices. While the NEC provides a baseline for electrical safety, local jurisdictions may adopt and amend the code to address specific conditions or concerns. Therefore, it is essential to check with your local building department or electrical inspector to determine the specific requirements in your area. When selecting a location for service equipment, consider factors such as accessibility, environmental conditions, and future expansion. The equipment should be easily accessible for maintenance and repairs, and it should be protected from the elements such as rain, snow, and direct sunlight. Also consider whether you may need to upgrade the service in the future to accommodate additional electrical loads. If so, choose a location that can accommodate a larger panel or additional equipment. The height at which service equipment is mounted is also regulated by the NEC. Section 230.200 specifies the working clearances and dedicated equipment space around electrical equipment. These clearances ensure that electricians have enough room to safely work on the equipment. The specific clearances required will vary depending on the voltage and amperage of the service. The type of enclosure used for service equipment must also be appropriate for the environment in which it is installed. In wet or damp locations, such as outdoors or in basements, an NEMA 3R or NEMA 4 enclosure should be used to protect the equipment from moisture. The size of the service entrance conductors which connect the utility company's service drop to the service equipment must be properly sized to carry the anticipated electrical load. The NEC provides tables and formulas for calculating the required conductor size based on the load calculations. It is crucial to use the correct conductor size to prevent overheating and potential fire hazards. Grounding is another critical aspect of service equipment installation. The NEC requires that service equipment be properly grounded to provide a path for fault current to return to the source, tripping the circuit breaker and de-energizing the circuit. Grounding electrodes, such as ground rods or metal water pipes, must be installed and connected to the service equipment grounding system. Bonding is also important. Bonding refers to the practice of connecting all metallic parts of the electrical system together to create a low impedance path for fault currents. This helps to ensure that all metallic parts are at the same potential, reducing the risk of electric shock. Surge protection is also recommended for service equipment. Surge protective devices, or SPDs, protect electrical equipment from voltage spikes caused by lightning or other transient events. SPD are typically installed at the service entrance to protect the entire electrical system. When installing service equipment, it is essential to follow all manufacturer's instructions and recommendations. The manufacturer's instructions provide detailed information about the proper installation and operation of the equipment. Ignoring these instructions could void the warranty and potentially create safety hazards. Finally, remember that electrical work can be dangerous. If you are not a qualified electrician, it is always best to hire a professional to install or repair service equipment. A qualified electrician has the training and experience necessary to perform the work safely and in accordance with all applicable codes and standards. In summary, a placement of service equipment on a single-family residence is governed by specific rules in the National Electrical Code. The equipment must be mounted on the structure or within sight of the structure with a clear, unobstructed view. These rules are designed to ensure safety and prevent confusion in the event of an electrical emergency. Always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to ensure that your installation meets all applicable requirements. Let's delve into some specific scenarios to illustrate these points further. Imagine a situation where a homeowner wants to install a new detached garage on their property. The garage will require its own electrical service for lighting, outlets, and potentially power tools. According to the NEC, the service equipment for the garage can be located on the garage itself, provided it is within sight of the main house. However, if the garage is located more than 50 feet from the house, or if there is an obstruction blocking the view, then the service equipment would need to be located in the house or closer to the house, within sight. Another common scenario involves replacing existing service equipment. When replacing an old electrical panel, it is generally permissible to install the new panel in the same location as the old one, as long as it meets current code requirements. However, if the existing location does not meet current code requirements, such as insufficient working clearances or inadequate grounding, then the panel may need to be relocated. In some cases, homeowners may choose to upgrade their electrical service to accommodate increased electrical loads. This may involve replacing the existing service panel with a larger one, upgrading the service entrance conductors, and installing additional grounding electrodes. When upgrading the service, it is important to ensure that all components are properly sized and installed in accordance with the NEC. Let's also discuss the importance of labeling. The NEC requires that all electrical equipment be clearly labeled to identify its purpose and function. This includes service equipment, circuit breakers, and other components. Proper labeling helps to prevent confusion and ensures that the correct equipment is de-energized in the event of an emergency. For example, each circuit breaker in the service panel should be labeled to indicate which circuits it controls. This information is essential for troubleshooting electrical problems and performing maintenance. In addition to the NEC, there may be other applicable codes and standards that govern the installation of service equipment. For example, the local utility company may have specific requirements for connecting to their electrical grid. It is important to check with the utility company and other relevant authorities to ensure that your installation meets all applicable requirements. Now consider the implications of not following these rules. If service equipment is not installed in accordance with the NEC and other applicable codes, it could create safety hazards such as electric shock, fire, and equipment failure. It could also result in code violations, which could lead to fines, penalties, and the requirement to correct the installation. In addition, improper installation could void the manufacturer's warranty on the equipment. Therefore, it is essential to take the time to plan the installation carefully and ensure that it meets all applicable requirements. It is also important to use qualified electricians to perform the work. Qualified electricians have the training and experience necessary to install service equipment safely and in accordance with all applicable codes and standards. They also have the tools and equipment necessary to perform the work correctly. In addition to the technical aspects of service equipment installation, it is also important to consider the aesthetic aspects. Service equipment can be unsightly, so it is important to choose a location that minimizes its visual impact. In some cases, it may be possible to conceal the equipment behind landscaping or other architectural features. However, it is important to ensure that the equipment remains accessible for maintenance and repairs. Finally, remember that electrical codes and standards are constantly evolving. It is important to stay up to date on the latest changes and updates to ensure that your installations meet current requirements. The NEC is updated every 3 years, so it is important to review the latest edition of the code whenever you are planning an electrical installation. In conclusion, the placement of service equipment on a single-family residence is a critical aspect of electrical safety. By following the requirements of the National Electrical Code and consulting with qualified professionals, you can ensure that your installation is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and standards. Remember to prioritize safety and always seek the advice of a qualified electrician when working with electricity. They can assess your specific situation, provide expert guidance, and ensure that your electrical system is installed correctly and safely. Consider also the potential for future changes to your electrical needs. As technology evolves and our reliance on electricity grows, it's wise to anticipate future demands. This might involve planning for the installation of electric vehicle chargers, solar panels, or other energy-efficient appliances. By considering these factors during the initial service equipment installation, you can avoid costly upgrades and modifications down the road. Moreover, regular maintenance of your service equipment is essential for ensuring its continued safe and reliable operation. This includes inspecting the equipment for signs of damage or corrosion, tightening connections, and testing circuit breakers. Regular maintenance can help to identify potential problems before they become major issues, preventing costly repairs and potential safety hazards. It's also important to keep the area around the service equipment clear of obstructions. This will ensure that electricians and other qualified personnel can easily access the equipment for maintenance and repairs. Avoid storing flammable materials or other items near the service equipment, as this could create a fire hazard. Furthermore, consider the environmental impact of your electrical system. Choose energy-efficient appliances and lighting fixtures to reduce your energy consumption and minimize your carbon footprint. Install smart thermostats and other energy management systems to optimize your energy usage and save money on your utility bills. By making conscious choices about your energy consumption, you can help to protect the environment and create a more sustainable future. Remember, electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. By understanding the basics of service equipment installation and maintenance, and by following all applicable codes and standards, you can help to prevent electrical accidents and protect yourself and your family from harm. Always prioritize safety and never hesitate to seek the advice of a qualified electrician when you have questions or concerns about your electrical system. Finally, consider the value of professional electrical inspections. A qualified electrical inspector can thoroughly assess your electrical system, identify potential problems, and provide recommendations for improvement. Regular electrical inspections can help to ensure that your electrical system is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and standards. In short, the placement, installation, and maintenance of service equipment on a single-family residence are complex and multifaceted processes that require careful planning, attention to detail, and adherence to all applicable codes and standards. By taking the time to educate yourself, consulting with qualified professionals, and prioritizing safety, you can ensure that your electrical system is safe, reliable, and efficient.